This is the Fifth Estate, a conversation between young African scholars from the Fortall School of Government and Professor Mutahi Ngunyi. This year began with the president calling two Kikuyu MPs Shenzi types. And this is because they had provoked him beyond. They had done the unthinkable. They told us that Uhuru is not developing the Mount Kenya region. This was the unthinkable crime. And for this, the two Shenzi type MPs were almost stoned to death politically. In fact, one of them threatened to end his useless life through resignation. But this political comedy did not end there. The Fuata Nyayo women formed the Pink Women movement in support of Uhuru. Then the 2017 Brotherhood of Heroic Failures joined them. They told us that the handshake is like Nyayo. Those opposed to it are anti-Nyayo elements and enemies of development. Those against the handshake are also corrupt. If this is not Moyism without Moy, what is it? We submit that the handshake has taken us back to Nyayo. We had freedom of speech, but no freedom after the speech. If they could use such aggression on the Shenzi type MPs, the next thing we should expect is detention without trial.
Hello, my name is Chris M. Being a young student of law and a young Kikuyu got me confused this week. First, I will speak as a young Kikuyu. One of the Shenzi MPs is also my MP. He speaks for me. He represents me, although I do not agree with him always. But to call him Shenzi type is to call me Shenzi by extension. If we the poor elected Shenzi MPs, it is because we are also Shenzi types. In other words, the Hustler Nation is also a Shenzi nation. This is what I interpreted the president to say subconsciously. And I could be wrong. Now, I will speak as a young student of law training to be logical. Last October, about 100 Kikuyu MPs met in Naivasha. Then, they told us that Mount Kenya produces 60% of GDP and Uhuru has neglected the region. They said exactly what the Shenzi MPs told us. And so I ask, why was Uhuru irritated by the Shenzi MPs and not the 100 Kikuyu MPs, yet they said the same thing? Is Uhuru irritated because the Shenzi MPs support Ruto? Or maybe my question is also stupid.
The handshake compares to a man who is newly married to a beautiful young woman. Then one day, a 74-year-old woman begins to hover around him. After a persistent chase by the 74-year-old woman, the man shakes her hand at Harambee House. Then they hug during a church service at Safari Park. A few months later, the man is invited to visit the home of the 74-year-old in Bondo. At this point, the beautiful young woman asks her man, "What is going on?" And typical of African men, the man replies, "There is nothing." Then the newly wedded man is invited for a birthday party of this 74-year-old woman in Mombasa. The 74-year-old woman is photographed dancing and feeding the young man some cake. And when asked to explain this romance, the man replies, "It is not what it looks like." And this is the handshake for you. When Ruto asks Uhuru to explain the handshake, to explain why Raila was feeding him some cake in Mombasa, he is told it means nothing. It is not what it looks like. If you were Ruto, would you believe Uhuru? Zero. Iko kitu hapa.
As a young lawyer, I do not understand the logic of making peace with Raila and starting a new frontier of war with Ruto. This handshake logic is convoluted. Uhuru has stopped making sense. Or has he? Is Uhuru the one not making sense? Or are we the ones who have failed to make sense of what he is doing? Let us assume that Uhuru has been cheated by the 74-year-old woman from ODM, and because of peace, birthday parties, and cakes in Mombasa, he has abandoned his beautiful young woman from Jubilee. If this were true, whom would you sympathize with? The 74-year-old woman or the cheated young woman? Put differently, as Uhuru mistreats Ruto and the Kikuyu Shenzi Type MPs that support Ruto, public sympathy for Ruto goes up. And Uhuru knows this for a fact. In fact, the more Uhuru embraces Raila, the more we sympathize with the underdog called Ruto. And so we ask, is Uhuru doing this deliberately? Is he building Ruto by pretending to mistreat him and romancing Raila in order to finish him with a final kiss of death? Is Uhuru that smart?
Kenyans have misread Uhuru Kenyatta completely. He's a Catholic. He's not originally from the army, and he loves children. He's not smart. He's just rich. This view of Uhuru is as far from the truth as East is from the West. Uhuru Kenyatta is a smart, ruthless Catholic with a high gangster index. If he was not a prince, he would have been a broker, the kind that would attempt to buy a submarine from the Russian army just for fun. If this is remotely true, then the handshake is a clever hoax. Uhuru is doing the exact opposite of what he means. To build Ruto, he has to irritate him first with the handshake. For the Kikuyus to support Ruto, Uhuru has to unleash the likes of Murathe to abuse him. But to finish Raila, he has to embrace him tightly, give him a big AU job, and attend his birthday parties. Uhuru understands that we destroy our enemies when we make them our friends. If we see Uhuru as an actor and the presidency as a stage, we will see a smart, ruthless Catholic, a man with a high gangster index.
Chinua Achebe taught us that whenever you see a fat frog jumping around the village on a Sunday, the frog is in danger. Maybe it's being chased by a snake. And this is how to describe Kikuyus this week. They are jumping around the streets on a sunny day. And the question to ask is this: what is chasing them? Where is the danger? Is it Ruto? Zero. Is it Raila? Nothing. Raila is only a danger to the Kikuyus when a Kikuyu is running for president. The danger chasing the Kikuyus like a fat frog on a sunny Sunday, in my view, is 2022. And the election is not the issue here. Here is the issue. 2022 marks the end of an empire. The Gema Empire that started in 1963 was rudely interrupted by Arap Moi, then continued by Kibaki and Uhuru, is coming to an end in 2022. And the earliest the Kikuyu can become president after 2022 is 30 years later, or 2052. Now, this stuff is scary for Kikuyu capitalists and the nobility in the Gema Empire. In 48 months, they must secure the next 30 years the Kikuyus will not be in power. Now, this urgency is what is causing them to jump around like a hunted frog on a sunny day. But as a card-holding member of the Gema nation, I'm persuaded that the Kikuyu should stick with Ruto. And if they do not, Gema will split into two. The mountain Kikuyus from Central will listen to Uhuru, but the Valley Kikuyus in Molo, Elbago, Nakuru, Njoro, Eldoret, Naivasha, you name it, will defy Uhuru. And you can take that to the bank.